Hi guys, and welcome to Konmari round 2, where I'm working through the life-changing magic of tidying up a second time. Woohoo! I am not going through the order listed in Marie's book for the second time around. If you're interested in why, you can go ahead and check out my plan and strategy video for round 2 and see what I have to say there. Today I am going to be going through a couple of my smaller hobby sections because I feel like that's something that is not necessarily talked about a lot in Konmari, what to do if you are a crafter, and I really want to knock a couple of those off my list. So to help myself be organized, I have written down in one column all of the categories that I've used in my original series, plus a couple more that I knew that I wanted to add in for this round. So I've already done a couple games that I went over in my intro video. CDs and DVDs, which was my first real subcategory. Today we're going to go through a couple of my hobbies. One of the things that I mentioned in my post-Konmari video talking about what's up next is the book The More of Less by Joshua Becker, in a quote that really inspired me from his book that talked about how sometimes you have to let some dreams die to kind of make way for new things, and about how it's really freeing and awesome when you finally give yourself permission to let those things go, both the physical things that you may have accumulated in your pursuit of the dream, and also kind of that pressure and judgment that you put on yourself that, oh, I haven't done that yet, I haven't completed that, I haven't become proficient in this area. And you can just say, you know what, that's not going to happen, but it's okay because I have new dreams and new goals and new hobbies. So some of these hobbies are going to fit into this category. So what we're going to go through is scrapbooking, knitting, and embroidery. Last go around, those made up 2 separate videos, one scrapbooking, one knitting and embroidery, but today I'm kind of combining all of them together because they're kind of my smaller hobbies. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here's what I have currently as far as knitting supplies. Between this video and my last look at my knitting supplies, I finished up that green sweater. It was actually completely knit, it just needed to be put together, and I have that in my wardrobe now. And then I had, I don't know, maybe 10 spools of yarn, and I ended up letting those go after between these 2 videos, and so all I was really left with were the needles and the crochet hooks for knitting and crocheting, and all of this is going. Now that I live in Florida, I really don't have the desire to do a lot of knitting. I enjoy knitting with wool, and that's really not something that's very practical for living in Florida. So I didn't have any particularly expensive needles or crochet hooks, so I decided to just let them all go. They are all going, and if I ever decide that I really, really need to do knitting again, they're not that expensive to kind of pick up one at a time as I need for various projects. So all of these things are going. So knitting is one of those things that I am letting go. Next up is scrapbooking supplies, which I've got all lined up on top of my thing. They used to be housed right here in this drawer, which you can see now is empty. And yeah, this is all my scrapbooking supplies. Scrapbooking is another one of those things that I've decided to kind of release, to let go of scrapbooking as a hobby. I really haven't felt the desire to do that, especially now that I have my blog. I figure most of that kind of stuff is going to end up on my blog or on my YouTube channel, and that I'll have it recorded that way. And I figure if, you know, I have kids and I decide that I want to scrapbook that, my taste will probably have changed as far as paper and things. So let me tell you guys what is staying and what is going. This is a pile of paper that is going. I have a pile of stamps that are going. This is a pile of some various stickers and little embellishments and a couple of more stamps. Those are the things that are going. One of the things that I use to help decide what I'm keeping is to decide if it was something that I would feel comfortable using in my Bible for my Bible journaling, since most of the scrapbooking supplies I'll be keeping are going to be sort of reallocated to Bible journaling. So these are all the things that I really didn't feel like I would use for my Bible journaling, and I'm going to let them go. This is a box of things that I will be keeping for a short period of time. I'm going to be teaching a Bible journaling class in the fall, and so I wanted to keep a couple of things to use for that class, and kind of anything that's left over after that class will be donated. I have some ribbon to make some little ribbon paper clips, some little journaling spots, and some extra micron pens and colors that I don't really use very much to let people kind of play around with. So that's kind of a keeping for a short period of time. And then over here are the things that I'm going to be keeping that are now going to be considered Bible journaling supplies. I have my paper cutter, which is very handy for cutting my scrapbooking paper to size. I have a couple packs of scrapbooking paper. I have these two here, which are Bella Boulevard, and they are the two packs that they did with Illustrated Face, so they're really great faith-based products. And then I have two packs of paper down here. One of them is kind of an Edwardian romantic style, and the other one is really cute, like 1920s, 1930s Art Deco beach. That I don't know if I would want to use them in my Bible, but they really do spark joy. They're just really super gorgeous. So I decided that those are the ones that I'm going to keep. Some extra blades for my paper cutter. These are some extra refills for my glue. And then this is the bucket of stamps that I decided were kind of more Bible journaling appropriate that I might use. So these items are currently, I guess, in the keep section. I'm going to go through them again when I get to my Bible journaling supply section, because a lot of that stuff is new. Oh, and also my my ink pads for my stamps. Those are now moved into the Bible journaling, I guess, bucket. This used to be chock full of scrapbooking stuff. You'll have seen it if you watched my scrapbooking video in the first round. It's now empty. I am going to keep it. I was able to use it to take my Bible journaling supplies to a workshop that I taught, and it was really handy for that, and so I'm going to keep that also to use for the class I'll be teaching in the fall. So here is the sum total of my embroidery supplies. Most of them live in that box. I do have the one, that green and yellow bag down there that I keep my current work in progress in. And so let's go through and decide what we are keeping and what we are not keeping. So first off, this is a piece of linen. I am going to use it to line my coif, which is in progress right now. This is a piece of gold work that I made for a class. I had originally wanted to make it into a fur muff, but obviously that was when I was in Ohio, so I'm going to let this go. It was a fun practice piece. I enjoyed making it. I enjoyed the class. The embroidery isn't that super hot because it was kind of my first go, and I certainly do not need a fur muff, so it's going to go. Then I have some beads and pearls. These we're going to be keeping. These are for my Borgia dress, so I'll put these back into the box. Next I have some random embroidery threads. I'm really not a big embroiderer, and probably most of my embroidery is going to be for costume and Elizabethan. That means black work, so which is most of the time black. So embroidery thread is not that expensive, and this really isn't a huge investment of embroidery, so a lot of these are leftovers from other projects, so I'm just going to let those all go. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay, this is my coif. This is my work in progress, so we're going to keep that, so hopefully I can finish that up pretty soon. I just have this bag. This is the fur. I actually went as far as to buy fur to make my fur-lined muff. Yeah, Sorry, little furry critters. We're gonna release you. I apologize to anybody that is not okay with fur, but the furs are leaving. Okay, and then this is the bag that those little embroidery flosses were in, and it really doesn't spark joy. It was just something that was convenient, so we're gonna let that go. And then this is my project bag, and it's got, let's see, the rest of my supplies for this project, so those are all going to be keepers. Okay, so that feels really good to get some of those hobby categories off of my list. Look at my list, let's check them off. Scrapbooking, knitting, and embroidery. Whoosh. All done. So for me, I'm really glad that I kind of did these hobbies in more of a two-step process. The first round and then the second round, it definitely made it a lot easier for me to kind of come to terms with deciding that I was done, especially with the knitting and the scrapbooking, because those had been things that I was really into, and it was a little bit hard to let go of some of those items, even though I really knew I was done with them. So I'm really glad that I was able to kind of go back and do that and re-edit. It's been really nice because having finished my last round of Konmari on January 1st of 2016, which was super awesome date to get finished at the new year, to start over with less clutter, that I really had a great mark for thinking about how often am I using things, how often am I even thinking about these things that I have. And really I just realized I had no desire to do scrapbooking, no desiring to do knitting, and then just embroidery. It's not something that I do a lot, and thankfully it's a hobby that especially the beginner supplies, they're really cheap, they're really easy, and they're really small, so I was able to let go of a lot of those things that I probably would never use again. And if I did need to repurchase, they're not very expensive. I think those spools of embroidery floss are like $1, maybe $1. Yeah, I think $1. So it's okay. I used them on another project. That was where my dollar went, and the rest is gone. So that's really great. So go ahead and subscribe, click the like button if you enjoy decluttering hobbies, and I will see you next time for some more decluttering.